Welcome to Anime Recaps. In this video, we will explain Magic Kaito. This anime tells a story of a high school student who has extraordinary magic tricks abilities. One day, he knows of a case that connects to the loss of his father 8 years ago. Knowing this, he finally decided to become the greatest thief like his father to uncover the truth of the case. How do his actions become the greatest thief and uncover his father's case? Let's find out in Magic Kaito. Magic Kaito tells the story of Kaito Kuroba, a high school student who is very smart and skilled in magic tricks. Because of Kaito's abilities, he is always the center of attention of his friends and teachers at his school. Kaito's magic skills were not self-taught, but his father taught him to become as good as he now. But unfortunately, Kaito's father died when Kaito was little, so now he lives only with his mother. However, Kaito's mother was rarely at home, and because of that, Kaito was almost always home alone. But Kaito never feels lonely, because he has a childhood friend who often accompanies him every day. Her name is Aoko Nakamori, daughter of the police inspector. Kaito's life goes on normally every day. But one time, the town where Kaito lived was shocked by the return of the famous thief, Kaitou Kid, who was reported to have robbed a jewelry store. Kaitou Kid's reappearance was sudden, for he had previously been on break for 8 years. And in just a matter of hours, news of Kaitou Kid had spread throughout the city, and Kaito Kuroba's school was no exception. Frankly, Kaito became curious about the thief, especially when the last time the thief acted coincided with his father's death. But no matter how much Kaito's curiosity was, he couldn't do anything because he had absolutely no clue to conduct an investigation. Moreover, Kaito's mother never told Kaito the cause of his father's death. But one day, Kaito accidentally found a secret room in his house, where later he found a costume and equipment similar to the one worn by Kaito Kid. The discovery aroused his curiosity, and now he wonders who his father really is. Kaito suspects that his father is Kaito Kid. But if that's true, who robbed the jewelry store the other day? Kaito decides to catch the thief, and he confronts the thief in his father's costume to find out the truth. Long story short, Kaito managed to catch the thief and reveal his true identity. Kaito recognized the thief, who turned out to be Ji Konosuke, his father's former assistant. Seeing Kaito wearing his father's costume, Ji thought he was dealing with Kaito's father. It turned out that Kaito's guess was right. His father was indeed Kaito Kid, and it was confirmed directly by Ji. Not only that, Ji told Kaito that his father was murdered in the past, and the reason Ji disguised himself as Kaito Kid was none other than to bait out the killers of Kaito's father. Ji finally realized that the person he was talking to was Kaito, not his former master. And at almost the same time, the police came and immediately surrounded them. Amazingly, in such urgency, Kaito could think quickly. Then, he decided to be bait so Ji could escape. Fortunately, not only Ji who managed to escape from the pursuit of the police, but also Kaito, who escaped using the equipment left by his father. Kaito then decided to go home, but on the way, he saw a mysterious figure wearing a black robe watching him from the roof of a building. Before Kaito could do anything, the figure left quickly. Arriving home, Kaito immediately contacted his mother to confirm whether his father was really Kaito Kid. Through their conversation, Kaito was finally sure about it. Day after day passed, and Kaito finally decided to become his father's successor. Interestingly, Kaito's mother gave him blessing to become Kaito Kid. However, despite Kaito's decision to become a phantom thief, he never keeps or sells his stolen goods, and he even always returns all the stolen goods. Besides that, Kaito and Ji work together to achieve a common goal, to uncover the identity of the killers of Kaito's father. Everything was going well for Kaito, until one day when he had just finished stealing as Kaito Kid, he was contacted by a man who warned him to stop stealing. If Kaito was caught stealing again, the man would not hesitate to kill him. But instead of being intimidated, Kaito was curious about the identity of the terrorist, and of course, he ignored the man's threats. But one night, after Kaito successfully carried out his robbery of a gem called Blue Birthday, he was ambushed by a group of men. One of the men, codenamed Snake, tried to get Kaito to talk. Hearing the voice, Kaito immediately knew that Snake was the one who threatened him to stop stealing. Not only that, Snake and his henchmen who are with him are members of an organization responsible for Kaito's father's death. And worse, the organization wanted the Blue Birthday that Kaito had just stolen. While pointing a gun at Kaito, Snake asked him to hand over Blue Birthday. But as a phantom thief, Kaito certainly had preparations to anticipate something like this. Instead of the real Blue Birthday, Kaito threw a fake gem at Snake. But it turns out that Snake wants Blue Birthday in Kaito's death as well. Without saying much more, Snake immediately shoots Kaito, causing him to fall from the roof of the building. After dealing with Kaito, Snake and his henchmen immediately set out to meet their boss and hand over a fake blue birthday. But Snake didn't actually know why his boss was after so many gems. And so, he asked his boss directly when he handed the fake blue birthday. It turned out that the boss wanted a rare gem that would reveal Pandora's stone in it when pointed at the moonlight. And Pandora is said to be able to make its users immortal. But the boss's wish to gain immortality still couldn't come true because when he checked the blue gem in his hand, he found out that it was just a fake gem. And that's when Kaito appeared in front of them. It turns out he wasn't dead yet. After Snake shoots Kaito, Kaito activates a parachute that prevents him from crashing to the ground. After that, Kaito secretly followed Snake to the boss's residence and overheard all their talk about Pandora and its effects. While the boss still couldn't escape the shock of seeing Kaito's sudden appearance, Kaito threw the real blue birthday into the boss's face and knocked him down. Kaito decided to give the gem to them because the police had a tracking device on it. And besides, the gem doesn't contain Pandora. In front of them all, Kaito threatens that he will find Pandora and destroy it. Kaito's statement no doubt annoyed them. But before they could react, Kaito disappeared from their sight. Just moments after Kaito left, police sirens started sounding all around. The police have surrounded the place. But sadly, they needed time to get in, which gave the boss and his henchmen time to escape. The police eventually only found Blue Birthday lying on the ground. A few weeks later, Kaito continues his action as Kaitou Kid perfectly. Until one day, when Kaito targets a gem to rob, he unknowingly falls into a trap designed by a genius old man who cooperates with the police to catch Kaitou Kid. Kaito was almost caught by the police, making him have to give up on his mission to escape from them. The next day, Kaito and Aoko meet Ji at his bar. They were engaged in conversation until their conversation led to the genius old man. It just so accidentally that Aoko knew who the man was. That man was a magician named Hari Nezu. Aoko's father, Ginzo Nakamori, the inspector assigned to capture Kaitou Kid, even plans to meet with Hari to discuss how to protect the gem that Kaitou Kid is now targeting. Hearing this information, Kaito then devised a strategy so he could monitor Hari when he met Inspector Ginzo. Through the camera Kaito secretly attached to Ginzo's tie, Kaito could hear Hari's words during the meeting. Through Hari, Kaito knows that there is another phantom thief who is no less clever than him. He is Kaito Kuroba, a thief from the United States. Not long after, while Kaito was still continuing to eavesdrop on Hari, he was surprised by the sudden appearance of Kuroba standing behind him. Kuroba introduced himself, and Kaito finally found out that Kuroba was the black-robed man he had seen before. In addition, Kaito finds out that Kuroba has a friendly relationship with his father. The purpose of Kuroba meeting Kaito is to challenge him. Kaito has to guess how Kuroba will steal the jewels guarded by the police and Hari. If Kaito loses the challenge, he will have to retire as a thief. Kaito was sure that Kuroba would fail to steal the heavily guarded gem, so he accepted the challenge. With that, Kuroba began his robbery. Kuroba was not just boasting, and he was able to steal the gem without even touching the protective glass. The way Kuroba stole the gem made Kaito confused. No matter how hard Kaito thought, he couldn't come up with an answer to Kuroba's stealing technique. And with that confusion, Kaito returned to his home. But a few days later, Kaito finally found out how Kuroba stole the gem. From the clues Kaito got and the results of his deductions, he concluded that Kuroba was cooperating with Hari. It was only natural that Kuroba could take the gem so easily. After knowing that, Kaito, in disguise, immediately tried to meet Hari. There, Kaito reveals the results of his investigation to Hari and how Hari had orchestrated the gem robbery with Kuroba. Hari did not deny or confirm Kaito's accusations, and he was just silent, letting Kaito talk to his heart's content. Kaito still hadn't finished speaking when Snake and the organization gang suddenly appeared and threatened him. But unexpectedly, their arrival made Hari reveal his true identity, Kaito Kuroba. Hari Nezu is actually Kuroba in disguise to outwit Kaito. As if realizing the people in front of Kuroba were dangerous, he immediately tried to take Kaito away from the place with his magic tricks abilities. And luckily, they managed to escape. After that, the two of them separated, and Kaito decided to go home. But as soon as Kaito opened the front door, he found a letter from his mother lying on the floor. Kaito then reads the letter, and from the words his mother wrote, he becomes suspicious that his mother is none other than Kuroba. But Kaito quickly abandoned that thought because he believed Kuroba is a man. At the end of the anime, it is shown that Kaito continues to live his double life as a normal high school student and Kaitou Kid the master thief. Everything ended happily for him. The moral that can be learned from this anime is how one should use their gift of intelligence for good. And if we find people having evil intentions, we must have the courage to fight them.